Hello, welcome to A Little Less Than Random with Jason.
Andrew.
Angelo here.
And Angelo is joining us today as our guest for their episode. So let's get things underway. How was everyone's Valentine's Day?
Oh, it was pretty good. How about your guys'?
It was a sad day, man.
A sad day? Well, I wanted to call it, I don't know, like men's frustration. Because if you're single, you're frustrated. And if you're taken, you're frustrated because you're trying to figure out what to get. Did you get the discount candy?
I got discount candy. No, I did not get discount candy.
Did you get discount candy?
No, I just stayed home and cried.
It was just another day.
I did want to say, so I've always heard that if you go to like Walmart or Walgreens or these places after the day after, like the regular, whatever store is close by you, the day after Valentine's Day, all the candy's like 70%.
Oh yeah, hella discount.
Well, 50 and then...
Yeah. Okay, so that is all a lie because they've already put up all the Easter stuff the day before.
I mean, they got to get ready before.
Right?
That's how it is.
Or what if, since back then, that we know that they're going to be going down prices, what if it's still a, they're trying to keep that in there, but it's actually still high price?
You mean like the day before it's the surge price?
Well, because like for the past year, people know that it's gonna be discounted the next day. So
they take that into consideration.
Yeah, they take that into consideration.
Yeah, I bet you they do that. But so the day after Valentine's, I went to the store because I was like, I'm gonna get some of that cheap candy, and they had no candy. There was none.
What time did you go?
I went probably it was probably already 12 o'clock, like 12 p.m.
Oh yeah, trust me.
But I guess that they already started selling out. So if you waited till Valentine's Day
or the day
to buy
after
your
Valentine's
candy,
Day,
or the day after, you'd be out of luck. But I always say it is I'm sure nerve-wracking for a lot of guys because of course obviously they want to do something nice for the people they care about, and so what that nice thing is probably always a little weird.
Creepy, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, not creepy, but I mean, like, they're not sure what to do. Like, they want to do something that will be appreciated, obviously.
Yeah, I guess my flowers weren't appreciated because I got them at Walmart, and that's the problem, Walmart.
Wait, what's wrong with Walmart's flowers? They have nice flowers, don't they?
When you go shopping last minute, day before Valentine's Day.
They don't come out as nice.
They don't come out as nice.
Yeah.
And I get called out for it.
Oh, for the flowers.
But at least I gave her a shout out from her favorite actor, Jason David Frank. Yeah, she loves Power Rangers.
Well,
Which one? Red, green?
The Green Ranger.
Oh yeah.
So I was in. In fact, I posted this. I sent this to a mutual friend of ours. It was a picture from the florist, and there was nothing but men in the shop. There were probably 8 men in the shop, and it reminded me of evolutionary psychology.
Yeah, but what are you trying to say about that though?
Well, it's not surprising that if you go to the stores and you look to see who's buying the chocolate and who's buying the
obviously
flowers.
Men.
Yeah, but there are many people who want to deny that there are differences and that those differences matter or that evolution is real.
But what does that got to do with evolution, though? I'm trying to.
Well, okay, so
maybe societal evolution.
So men are the less choosy sex. So men typically have to woo women, and it's really simple actually. It comes down to the fact that men can have many children at no risk to themselves, whereas women can have a limited number of children over their lifetime. So when they do have children, they have to be very choosy of who their partners are. So that's why men save up 3 months' salary to buy a diamond ring. That's why men buy flowers. That's why men buy chocolates. We shouldn't expect to see 50-50 men and women.
Speak for yourself, Andrew.
I thought that was just a marketing plan. Like, okay, you gotta buy a diamond because...
Yeah, but why doesn't the marketing plan work on women? See, and so there's an evolutionary explanation for that. But this is a good transition potentially because we did want to also talk about 50-50 representation of gender representation in movies.
It's more like a 75-25% now at this point.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of companies are trying to increase the representation.
Yeah, but you're comparing domestic living situations of relationships compared to film representations. But hey, if you want, you can at least try to take a crack at it.
Why don't you introduce it?
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess females aren't represented enough in films in regards to leading roles. I mean, we've seen Captain Marvel. Have you seen it?
I think no, I haven't. But I think it's okay.
It was okay. I mean, I liked it for the 90s references. But the point I'm trying to say is here that there's not enough representation of women in films, regardless if it's a superhero film or not. Mm-hmm. And I guess
we should use more female superheroes. It would be cool. I mean, they're coming out with like Black Widow, right?
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, Wonder Woman was always going to be the number one, and that movie did well. I'm hoping the sequel does better too. No, it's just the fact that the whole idea of lady reboots. Okay, let's take every established movie franchise, and then just replace all the male characters with female characters.
Yeah, I don't like that too.
Yeah, like Ghostbusters 2016. Mm-hmm. Who's seen it? Because I sure
I didn't watch it, but I wasn't a big fan of the first Ghostbusters. I mean, I was a little kid when it came out.
What?
So. I barely remember. I was a little kid.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times, but yeah, I was a kid. I don't
watch
remember.
It as an adult. Is it still really all that cool? I don't know.
I mean, the soundtrack is catchy. I just watch it for the song.
Do you ever watch a movie?
I watch it for Bill Murray.
Okay, yeah, but do you ever watch a movie when you're a kid and then you realize as an adult it actually wasn't that good?
Well, that's because you're getting older and you're just like, I don't know. Maybe you're going through some midlife crisis.
Well, movies have just gotten so, especially with special effects, just so good, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like your threshold for what a good movie is really high.
So, but the writing sucks.
You're saying
writing aside, I'm just saying, like, even if the writing were equal, which would be tough. Like, to write a good movie is tough to begin with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but make it all political.
Add special effects. And it's harder for a movie to last. But anyways, what I was saying is...
Well, that's probably why they're marketing it to
politics.
Politics, just so like
gender
people
politics.
Watch.
Well, let's make women watch this because they can relate to being just like guys, catching ghosts.
Okay, so back to my flowers. Women aren't guys. And this is really important. It's important for
So that women won't buy flowers for us guys.
Try to market that and see how long that lasts, that business. Because most men... I'd be willing to bet. So I kind of did the crazy thing and spent quite a bit on flowers. And they die in 3 days. Most men feel that way. They feel like, okay, I'm going to spend $120 and these are going to die in 3 days. Why didn't you buy me and then name something else? And then
if you accidentally buy withered flowers, you're going to get called out for it.
Okay, but fill in the blank, right? There,
is that from experience?
When I think about the things that
it was recent.
but like if I think of what I could do with $100, I'm like, I could have bought new strings for my bass.
You could have gone a celebrity. Well, I guess
it's more practical, right?
Yeah,
well, I think men
that's what I was saying.
Want something more practical.
Okay, so some people say, is that society, right? Is that cultural, or is it Darwinian? And I would argue it's more Darwinian than people think. Even social cultural factors are controlled by deeply rooted biological differences between men and women. It's also why women don't do as well when it comes to healthcare. There aren't equal outcomes for women because a lot of times they test on male mice, and so it turns out that women aren't just small men; they are biologically different, and that extends all the way to the human mind.
Yeah, I can see that. Plus, human, I guess, history. Mm-hmm. Men are always the one doing all the fights and all the.
Yeah, and speaking of fights, did you hear about how they're trying to make a female reboot of Fight Club?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, no way. This is gonna be based off what's his name, Chuck Appernick's.
I don't know.
I'm not butchering that name.
Putting women in there, I don't think it's a good idea because.
Okay, I don't think
they're probably not going to be interested in watching it anyway.
I don't think it's necessarily.
But men like watching women.
I don't think it's necessarily an adaptation of Fight Club. It might
be misogynistic if
no,
you do
but
it.
The thing is,
if you don't.
You know what they say is like, okay, it's women representation, but they don't want the men to watch.
Exactly. I was going to
say. And then they blame men for not watching.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so yeah, exactly. All roads lead to patriarchy. Right, so
something with that Birds of Crap movie.
So I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it, but
think about it. If you start the female role model and men watch it, it's because of patriarchy and men are objectifying and sexualizing women.
yeah.
If you put a female star in the movie and they don't watch it, it's because men are not supportive of women, right? All roads, there is no reality that could exist in which
It's a lose-lose scenario. Yeah,
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, that's like
Yeah.
how relationships are.
That's how social justice warriors are.
yeah.
Yeah, because there's a recent news about that, like where now Sonic.
Oh yeah,
Have you heard about
did,
Sonic
well,
1?
Did great in theaters. Yeah.
So like
I've never eaten there. It's a joke.
Oh yeah. No, so like the Sonic, it wasn't even out, and there are people already
Yeah.
critiquing it, saying it's bad, blah blah blah. I'm gonna watch Bird of Prey instead.
They're literally trashing Sonic just to convince other people to go
Okay,
watch.
so what do I need to watch?
They did the
'Cause I
same
haven't
thing
watched any of these.
when it was Venom was out and it was A Star Was Born, saying, "Oh, Venom was trash. Let's go watch that Lady Gaga movie."
Okay, so I haven't seen these. So what do I need to watch? I just
You
watched.
just need to play the video game Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay.
Just to understand Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, you don't
Any
even have
game
to
will
watch
do. Perhaps like the
So you're saying
Sega
don't.
Genesis
So
games.
you're saying don't watch it.
I'm saying if you grew up with a childhood and you played video games, I think the best you've gotten in life with your childhood is Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah,
Maybe a little bit of
Naruto,
Pokemon.
Naruto, Pokemon, yeah.
But if you're not familiar
The
with
main
Sonic,
ones. Rurouni Kenshin.
then don't
yeah.
watch Sonic.
Okay.
Or if you want to watch a,
No, but-
female empowerment movie,
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like which
female team up movie, where they're lacking in character. Harley Quinn does not look like Harley Quinn. Huntress does not look like the Huntress.
I don't know about this.
Yeah, exactly. You don't recognize any of the females. So you're not a nerd like I am, Andrew.
Well, I'm not a cultural enthusiast. As
Pop
much.
culture enthusiast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
Yeah.
but now everyone's trying to be a nerd, you know.
Yeah.
So is it like nerd appropriation?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's-
oh my god, I love Zelda. He's so cute.
Yeah, like now
that happens all the time.
nowadays, like, well, 'cause that's one way to interact with people now.
Yeah.
is like through video games. I guess it's more prominent now than before. So they were like, "Oh yeah, I know Zelda, or I know Castlevania character." They don't
But
even
that-
know the guy's name.
That's
or
probably
something,
always
you know?
gone on where
card.
people just don't want to. People just want to be polite and they don't want to say they don't know a band name or they don't want to say they haven't seen a movie or heard of a musician.
I think it's more sinister than that. Well, when I was younger, like I'm like so into like video game stuff, and people were like, "Man, he's a nerd," blah blah. And then now, like, and that was uncool. Like, you know, if you're being a nerd,
Like,
it's
now it's
uncool.
cool.
And now it's like everybody is like I play this, and
Yeah, I think that's because video games has gotten so intricate.
Yeah, the technology's gone crazy.
So yeah, I might kind of.
But then you have Anita Sarkeesian dumping on video games.
Well, yeah, she's
See,
well,
he
she's
knows what I'm talking about.
She's a good example of that. You all roads lead to sexism example because I thought so.
all
Really,
roads lead somewhere.
well, this was actually one of my favorite video games. Was the Tomb Raider? It was the last one I played. Actually, that was.
Wait, which
and it
one?
was
Are we talking about the ones from the 90s? Or are we
No, no,
talking
no, the
about
most recent
the
one.
one this past decade?
Yeah, that one.
The
And,
reboot Tomb Raider?
Dude, if you played it, it was like artwork.
Yeah, it was crazy. Don't get me wrong,
yeah.
the graphics was crazy.
But not just that, but the game
It's more realistic.
The game was like it took you on a journey. I mean, figuratively and figuratively. Like, I mean, I guess in the video game it's literal, but it's figurative technically. But it took you on a
it's so
journey.
immersive, yeah.
And exactly. And you know, she's the type of person where you could have a video game where I think there's one where that you actually kill about 1,000 people in one battle.
Probably.
Even
Probably
though 1,000
maybe that was the
men
first
have
one.
died, she would say it's
When did you play
objectifying.
this?
This was a couple years
you
back.
never told me this.
It was about 3 years ago.
Because like the first one came out in 2013. I haven't played Rise of the Tomb Raider or Shadow of
Yeah, I
Tomb
think it was
Raider.
Rise of Tomb Raider. This was about 3 years ago. And
Are
it's-
sure this wasn't the one where it was like in a jungle setting? And
There were
was,
different
like,
settings.
and it-
Yeah.
Okay, was this the snow setting? Because that was probably the
there
second
was a
one.
snowside setting.
Okay, then that was probably the second one. I have not gone far with Tomb Raider. But okay, so you prefer this version of Lara Croft compared to
Well, I was just
old
saying,
school
no,
Lara
I don't
Croft?
have a preference. I was just saying that it's one of those examples where the video game features a female, empowered female lead, and And that still doesn't do enough to satisfy many people. You're always
So
going
yeah,
to
let
find,
alone these feminists, right?
you're always going to find somebody
Because
who's
feminists
upset.
then would critique, Lara Croft, specifically the original Lara Croft
Yeah.
from the 90s.
Well, not all
her
feminists will
design,
probably agree
like they're
with
saying,
them.
she's too sexualized. She has these, like these polygon boobs and
So what I was saying is, I don't think
Too sexualized,
all feminists would agree with Anita Sarkeesian. I think Anita Sarkeesian's a specific special case where I think
she's the extreme.
Yeah, where everything she said, all roads would lead to sexism, no matter what you did. That's how she.
I think she mostly likes to complain about the tropes of video games. Why is it always the damsel in distress?
Okay, well, that's a great example. That video game's a great example of one that's not where you don't have a damsel in distress. I mean, she's in distress, the one saving the world and the whole existence of that diegesis in that video game.
Yeah.
Diegesis. I've not heard that word in a while.
So
Is that another word for didactic?
No, didactic. It would be like
Story,
an
like
argument. Yeah, but a diegesis is like the world in which you live, the fictional world, right?
So the world in the world of that fictional universe.
Yeah.
All right. So no, I get that. I mean, I can like both Lara Croft. I don't think one was created just to like pander to certain special group of snowflakes. No, I actually like
really doubt
survivalist Lara Croft, and I like old school Lara Croft.
Yeah, this one didn't feel like it was pandering. It just felt like a good video game, and so that to me is a good way to do diversity in video games and movies. Is to just take a character, right, and just make the best damn movie or best
but
damn video game.
Imagine changing Lara Croft because you want to empower something else.
Well, if it's a damn good video game, it's a damn good video game,
Then
right?
who cares, right?
No,
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is like, let's say in a movie where you want to switch the role,
Or the woman is the lead role.
Yeah,
the Ghostbusters.
Okay, with Ghostbusters,
And then it became-
But I'm saying, like, if Ghostbusters was just a damn good movie and the main characters happened to be female, nobody would care, right? If you could tell that the writers were doing everything in good faith, that they were making the best attempt at making a good movie and to make a world and jokes that make
happened
sense.
to be a female, or they switched because they're rebooting it from male to female.
Well, and even that's fine with me because whenever you have a fiction,
But it was too cringy though. Like it was
I
too
didn't
motivated
see it.
by gender
I didn't see
politics
it.
and stuff.
I didn't see it, but I'm saying this happened with. In fact, I had a podcast. You can check out my old podcast with my friend Brandon on Death Note. Remember that whole controversy with the whitewashing of Death Note?
With L?
Yeah, it was the whole concept was about
Which one? The Netflix version?
Yeah, which actually ended up being
man.
terrible. So it was,
From the trailer, it's already terrible.
yeah, it wasn't even worth commenting on. Actually, people made a.
I mean, first of all, they whitewashed all the characters.
Okay, but
Except for
what I was
Oliver.
saying is that characters are in that podcast I said with my friend Brandon, characters are fictional anyways. Who cares what they look like? But
the thing is, you want the best representation of these characters that have already been established.
So you want good actors, right?
We want good everything.
So who cares if they're white? Who cares if they're black? Who cares if they're Asian?
Like I said
but
earlier, tell that to the Bible
did it-
people.
Huh?
Tell that to the Bible people.
The Bible.
So
people? Okay,
why-
wait, hold on.
Okay.
Explain what you mean by that, because I don't think our listeners will.
Yeah, because say fictional characters, you want the representation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're representing what, like let's say Jesus.
Yeah, I've seen where people insist that Jesus is certain colors.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
certain
something like that.
race.
Yeah,
Or Korean.
Yeah.
yeah.
No.
Korean. Oh yeah,
Korean
Korean.
Jesus.
Yeah,
If anyone got that reference, okay.
yeah. So like that, like people would prefer even fictional characters.
Yeah.
So they would fight for it.
Yeah, I was talking about that lady. There was this lady on Fox News who was dead set that Santa Claus had to be white. And well, Santa Claus isn't real. I hate to burst her bubble. It doesn't matter. And I think it's cool because then it opens the door for different universes of the character. This means anybody can
anybody what? Nick Fury was white and black,
and anybody could cosplay as any character. To me, who cares what their original race was? If you want to cosplay as that character,
but why
That's
is there-
different though. Cosplay.
But let me ask this. So I was trying to get
but
at.
I'm saying I don't believe in the sort of cultural appropriation generation.
characters?
Yeah, of fictional characters. Yeah, where people get offended if you change the gender or you change the sexual orientation or you change.
What about their color?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay, like I don't care. Like I was trying to
If
say, like
you-
Nick
if-
Fury,
if
right?
you're-
Originally, Nick Fury was white.
Remind me, Nick Fury's from.
Marvel, eye patch,
Well,
spy,
yeah. Okay, yeah.
cigar. Yeah, he was originally white. I don't know. Maybe you would kind of remember like that TV special with David Hasselhoff playing, Nick Fury, Agent of Shield. But then Samuel Jackson. Everyone remembers the Samuel Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That to me, Samuel Jackson did an excellent job. So whatever race he
Yeah.
was in the
So
other
why is it
version-
like in like today's society? Like, why is it we find it? Why we can't accept an all-female lead team? Or why?
I have no problem with it. I think it
But
was done in good
It has to be done in good faith,
Right.
I think you know what it was. It was too inclusive, and it alienated the male audience.
Well, no, nothing can be too inclusive because if it was too inclusive, then
They'll be exclusive.
Because if it was too inclusive,
I mean, for the females, but to the point where they alienate the male audience.
So that's not called inclusive. That's exclusive, right?
Then, wouldn't you say that then? That's what the problem is, that they were making it too exclusive at that point. At first it was inclusive, like let's say, let's include women, but it ended up being nothing but women.
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna say something too with this. So to me, that's optimistic, right? Because imagine the companies wouldn't be doing this unless it were profitable, right?
And then
it's not
Like,
profitable.
yes-
box office.
No, but I mean, if it weren't profitable, it must be earning some money, maybe money compared to how much effort they put.
All right,
in
I
or
think I
investment they
understand because in economics, okay, I think since it's nerd culture, most men are into the nerd culture, so it will be like that money's there. The money's already there.
I see what you're saying. But if you get the small extra little piece of the pie,
Yeah, so yeah, pretty much. But what happened is they tend to like over what do you call that? They over PR it. Like it'll be like all women,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
it get blown out in Twitter. Blah, see, blah blah blah. See,
yeah, and people make a big deal about
Yeah,
it, and the
it's
movie
way
might not
too big
even be
deal.
worth it. Like that's how I felt about the whole Death Note thing. The show ended up being awful. It wasn't even worth the energy.
I mean,
people
think about
spent.
it. It's also budget wise, because they did it through Netflix versus they could have just had it in theaters.
Right.
Oh, then let's talk about these other lady reboot movies, like that one with Sandra Bullock. It was like a remake or a reboot of Ocean's 11.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, they're
That's
doing
like-
that. They had an Ocean 11. Oh, what else? The Fight Club coming up.
Some of these
Okay.
might be cool though. I don't know.
But okay, see the one with the Fight Club though. I don't know if it's like a straight adaptation of the movie. The
It's gonna
one
be
with
pillow fight.
the one with Edward Norton and Brad Pitt. Yeah, I don't think it's an adaptation of.
So you think it's like a completely different?
It might
movie.
be like the similar premise. Okay, this girl's down on her luck.
Then why not call it a different title?
Well,
No, it is. It's called Chick Fight. Hence the keyword chick.
and see that doesn't sound very woke to me.
Yeah.
If anything, it's like Here Comes the Boom, but with a girl and versus a Fight Club.
Oh, that movie was
And
good.
Fight Club wasn't even about a Fight Club. I mean, it was, but it wasn't the main focus of it. It was just about a guy. Have you even seen Fight Club?
I don't remember.
Psychological thriller with.
It's more of a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
It's about this guy who's disillusioned with his life. I'm not going to say much. I'm not going to run to anyone who hasn't even seen the movie. It's a great movie,
It's a
great
good
book.
movie.
Okay.
Go watch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. All right.
Or read it.
Well, I'll watch it. Yeah. Sounds cool.
I mean, especially if you love Edward Norton. I know my girl does.
Okay.
She hasn't seen American History X until I told her to go watch it.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. Okay, so like I said, fiction is about exploring the realms, exploring the border of reality, right? And the whole point of fiction is to try to say something that resonates with the human experience. That is
Yeah, I mean, we relate to these characters.
exactly. But you don't have to be the characters to write about or play a fictional character. Is that fair? Like the whole point of fiction is you're doing something beyond your own experience to try to extend.
Okay. Let's say, for example, let's talk about the whole James Bond thing.
Okay, that one would be a good one. There was a book too that came out recently, called American Dirt that everybody got upset about, and it was about a woman. I believe I can't say if she's Hispanic or not, but because she wasn't from Mexico, people want to silence her book. They want to cancel her book because
author?
Yeah. But shouldn't
Wait, is
authors...
the book about a book?
No, the book is about... It's a fictional story about some of the hurdles and some of the possible tragedies that can happen to people, or the things that people experience potentially trying to make it over across the border. right? And I'm sure there are a lot of tragedies.
But is this is a fictional story, correct?
Yes, but people got mad at her because it wasn't because she wasn't an immigrant herself who came across the border, and so it's almost like they were mad that she wrote fiction.
Yeah. Well, she wrote. Yeah, maybe she wrote something that that wasn't probably her story to tell, or
Well,
I don't know.
here's my thought: is somebody thought this is an important topic in our culture that's relevant today, and they wanted to highlight it. In my opinion, who cares whether she's experienced it firsthand? As if she's bringing an important topic to light and getting people to discuss
Yeah, I mean,
it.
she doesn't have to be someone who experienced it, right?
Yeah. Okay. So let's transition now to let's transition to James Bond. Right? There's this guy YouTuber you keep sending me videos of this guy named No Bullshit.
No bullshit.
Yeah,
But he has some points though.
He jokes about blackwashing, which to me is the stupidest term I've ever heard. But how can you get mad about changing the identity of a fictional character?
Because if you change the identity too much, then it's not no longer the nostalgic character you want.
No, yeah, I don't.
Maybe you can do that with Doctor Who, which is always a white male British dude. But you can't turn James Bond into a
but you can't say, oh, it's perfect.
person of color who happens to be transgender.
But I'm saying if it's perfectly fine to change anime characters and use European actors. Well, what's wrong with taking other characters and using other minorities as actors?
You can have minorities in the characters, like maybe as supporting characters for James Bond, but to change too much of James Bond is like at that point, because he's already established as this white British character. Who gets the girls? Why change it to someone else? Like, if you're gonna change the gender identity of James Bond, you might as well have it be something else.
Yeah, I think
they just want the James Bond name and just
they want to
destroy the franchise.
No, I don't think.
No, because I think everyone would be okay if it was like another man with different color.
I mean,
it would still be.
If it was,
actually, I was thinking.
I'd say Idris Elba.
Yeah, a lot of people said Idris Elba. Right? Yeah. That would be cool too.
But never make it a different color and make it a female, because then it's not James Bond.
Yeah, it's either one.
Well, it could be 007, but not James Bond.
Yeah, 007 is just the title. James Bond is the name of the guy who has that title.
From what I understood, they were going to make him the new character 007, but not necessarily keep the name James Bond.
Yeah.
So it'd be
I think that's where the confusion was.
So it'd be a 007 movie, not a James Bond.
Just like how
movie.
there was a 006, 004.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what the trend of the internet. They go like beep, 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 and then
it
seemed
like you're getting mad over something that isn't what they even think it is.
I mean, it's so hard to get surprises now. Mm-hmm. Even probably Hollywood. That's why everything's like cliche and
Because so what I'm saying is you can't say cultural appropriation. It's incongruent ideas. You can't both say cultural appropriation shouldn't exist and get mad that people are yelling cultural appropriation, and then say don't appropriate my culture, my characters, my fictional characters. Those two things are contradictory. Does that make sense? What I mean by that?
Well, give us an example, like
James Bond. That was my example. So you can't say. I hate
like Shaft.
I wouldn't actually say this because I don't even like using the word social justice warrior. But you can't say these social justice warriors are yelling about cultural appropriation and it's idiotic. Then say, "Don't you touch my James Bond."
I don't know.
Don't culturally appropriate. You see what I'm saying?
I think but from this instance though,
you're not getting it.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's contradictory.
But from what I'm hearing, it though, they want to change the identity of James Bond.
No, I'm talking about the people who get upset over cultural appropriation, then get upset that you changed fictional characters.
So you can't please everyone, pretty much. You can't please
kind of, but I'm saying these people, like this guy that you send me that videos of, the no bullshit guy, is not being logically consistent. You can't hold both of those values at the same time. You either are saying cultural appropriation is non-existent, or you're saying that no, anybody can play a fictional character and fictional characters are fictional.
Yeah, just imagine that though. Like if someone plays Shaft, like a white guy.
Oh, I see.
Playing Shaft.
Oh, I had a joke. I told this joke to one of the
Blade.
I told one of those jokes to one of the teachers at NBC. I saw this meme making fun of cultural appropriation, actually. And this one actually got to me a little bit because there might be limits to this. It was a movie poster for Harriet Tubman, starring and I forgot her name. It's the girl who she was gonna play. She got Scarlett Johansson.
Got canceled.
Yeah, it was Harriet Tubman starring Scarlett Johansson. Because remember she was gonna.
So she was supposed to play a black character?
No, this is totally fake. But she was gonna play.
It's a meme. You said okay.
It was a meme, yeah.
So.
But she was gonna play a trans character, but Scarlett Johansson
I
isn't
think
trans
she did.
herself.
I heard she was gonna play some
I heard
trans, but crime boss who happens to be trans.
And so I
Played by
thought,
Scarlett
yeah.
Johansson.
And so here's the thing: is okay if you care about trans issues, right? Wouldn't you want a A-list celebrity to bring that issue to life through fiction? Wouldn't you want them to represent?
Yeah, but they
that-
seem to do it forcefully though.
No, but I'm saying not forcefully. Couldn't you do it like in good taste? You know, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it's possible.
and
but,
so, wouldn't that benefit the trans community to have more of a voice by having people?
But how do you know they won't go complain and say, "Oh, Scarlett Johansson isn't trans"? It
That's
should be played by
exactly what
trans."
happened. And so you know what happened? The thing never happened. It never, or if it did,
Because you know why?
or if
Because
it
there's
did,
not enough trans people
it
probably in
didn't
the
have
Hollywood
it
industry.
didn't have an A-list celebrity behind it, and so it didn't get as much.
Okay,
as
but then
much
again, Jared
attention.
Leto played a trans person in what's that one movie with Matthew McConaughey? I can't remember the top of my head. Lincoln Lawyer or one of those movies.
Well,
Yeah,
it's called acting.
Exactly.
It's called acting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called acting.
Yes. That is my point. Yeah.
I mean, if Robert Downey Jr. can play, a black guy.
Do you
playing
think
another
that
dude
could happen?
disguised as
Do you
a-
think that could happen? It's only been a couple years. Has it been 5 years?
It's been like more than a decade now.
Yeah.
More than
So
a decade
Tropic
since
Thunder,
Tropic
yeah.
Yeah, Tropic Thunder. Yeah.
Oh, wait, when
It's
did that
probably
come out?
2008.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I've been doing for the last decade.
You live
feel
you live in a
all
cave,
the-
man.
I feel like all the best movies were 2006, 7, 8.
Yeah,
but you know what?
I think after 2012, like the world
Yeah.
really ended. The world really ended.
Yeah.
You couldn't even tell that was
like
Robert Downey Jr.
the Ballad of Ricky Bobby, like that was like you said 2006 or something.
Oh man,
Yeah.
those are really
Yeah.
good movies.
I know, right?
But yeah, going back to that, like you couldn't even, like he did it so well.
Yeah,
Like his identity got a.
And he even paid homage to the fact that it was.
It wasn't even blackface because it wasn't forceful.
But he even joked about the joke of blackface. Like he even joked about how it might be misinterpreted within the movie.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I think a lot of people say it was meta, right?
It was
ultra
social
meta.
commentary on Hollywood
Yeah, and so
and war films.
I think that was cool and useful. It was funny. I mean,
And then Jamie Foxx's best friend was on the Joe Rogan Experience, and we're talking about it. And Jamie Foxx, you know what? I didn't find it racist. I thought it was just funny.
but do you think that could still happen today?
No.
You know what? Today, with the kind of people that are always,
I think
those snowflakes going around.
I think the reason why it won't happen today is because
people are too offensive.
too
Too
like,
offended.
well, it's like Twitter. Everyone has their own opinion now.
Yeah, and 140 characters, like,
Yeah,
and they're all bad
everybody-
opinions, right?
They're all bad opinions, and then you got the court of public opinion, which
Yeah.
also happens to be Twitter.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
all they need is like a like.
I mean, all you need is like 500 people hating on you, or who knows how many.
Well, I can't tell you
and
how
then
often.
ruin your career. You get
I can't tell
canceled.
you how often this happens. Where I'll say something like, "I am arguing for A. I am not arguing for B," and then 10 people get upset at me saying, "How dare you say B?"
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, and so I feel like that happens a lot online. More than I'd like. And
Well, because you only have 140 characters, so.
but
you
no. Even if I think I express myself as clearly
And
as
this
I
is
could,
why I stay the fuck out of Twitter.
well, I don't do Twitter.
I stay
do
away
Facebook.
from all social medias.
I do Facebook, but I've been trying
Yeah.
to be on better behavior because I have I've just been-
Triggered someone.
I've triggered a lot of people, but I also have people who I'd like to have a good relationship with now more on my Facebook, and I don't want to. I know a conversation would go better in person. I had a friend. She's also a professor. She's at NVC, and we got into a back and forth. Once we met in person, I realized we had no issue. We were like 99.9%.
You know why?
agreement.
Because most of conversation is actually like 80% tone.
Yeah.
You know, where you can't hear tone in online.
Yeah,
you know?
you
But
just
unless
don't-
you imagine in your head and you read it in that voice.
but you know,
Yeah, but then you're assuming somebody's tone that way, you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is that even though we were both English professors, and so even though we write like whole research papers back and forth, like if you read our comments back and forth sometimes, like we'll just you know, a 3-page essay like nothing, right?
Hey, but at least you still have your job.
Oh yeah, both of us still have our job. We're
Yeah,
really lucky.
so-
I will say this: I have my dean on my Facebook. I let her see everything I post, but
Even
there
this
are
podcast.
even the podcast, because I know she's a competent, smart, wise person who can you know we'll have a conversation like an adult, right? I know she's smart, but there are 2 people who I work with who I don't tend to show all of my stuff because I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they won't give me the benefit of the doubt if I should say something imperfectly.
Yeah.
Where I would give them the benefit of the doubt. So I have no problem speaking 100% freely in front of my dean, but occasionally I worry about a couple of my colleagues.
I mean, with your line of work, you got to worry about who you say things to.
Yeah.
And then, because, you know.
The walls are thin, man.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
we live in a world of cancel culture. Say one thing, blink someone,
I know.
or smile with someone the wrong way, it costs you your job.
Oh, tell your joke. You had a joke.
Oh, you mean like, I probably read this on some random comment on YouTube. I waved hi at a feminist the other day, and then my court date was in this next week.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Is
That's what they
the
do
one-
now, though. Like, you're clapping, that's why.
You're clapping?
If you're waving, that's a form of clap.
Right.
Yeah, because you can't clap because that triggers them.
I
There's like
haven't heard
noise
about this.
pollution. Something about
What-
noise pollution.
Oh, really?
No, really, it was because of noise pollution. Not because this clapping signified something like
Yeah.
some physical trauma they might have experienced.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's how crazy. No, they call these shaking your hands.
Yeah,
referred
like
to-
Jack-
That's not cool anymore.
I mean, that's something you would probably do while you're at
Reminds
some.
me of what was the
No, poetry. You go like.
no what was no Bring It On. That was jazz.
You mean
hands,
that
right?
cheerleader movie?
Yeah, it's like this is like an ancient movie, but it was really popular.
With Kirsten Dunst. Okay, what about?
Yeah, was it? There's jazz hands, right? That was from that movie. That was popularized.
Yeah, I've seen one of the
Yeah.
speeches like on a campus site where like people were clapping, right? People were clapping, and then some guy on the mic was like,
Oh, it's not the time yet.
no, like some guy on the mic said, "Guys, stop clapping, go do jazz hands," and then another person came into the mic and saying, "Do not refer to everyone as guys." I thought that nothing was being they weren't moving forward with the conversations
Yeah.
that they're having because
Jason, you sent me that
everything was
video.
wrong.
You sent me that video about like even Bernie Sanders is wrong, right? Like even Bernie Sanders, this lady takes the mic from Bernie.
Oh, yeah.
and it's like, how dare you support milk?
Yeah, and then
and cows.
And then you have a lady who goes topless, showing her milkshakers
Oh, gosh.
and pouring
Yeah.
blood.
I didn't see this. Does that really
Yeah,
happen?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's
Oh
why I
gosh.
saw that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, like, you see, like, okay, Bernie tried to take the mic. and
Okay, but to make us feel better,
then, like, ugh.
most people are not like that. Most people are lovely. Most
No, I
people.
think
I
most-
mean, I think
No, I
vegans
think
are
most-
like that.
No, I don't think most
No,
vegans are like that.
I think most people are like that.
Like, cause you remember my friend. Well, you weren't here that day, but Jason, you remember my friend Jeff when I asked him, "Oh, does it bother you when people say?" Because he's a vegetarian. When the people say, "Oh, you don't eat meat," I guess I'll have to eat twice as much. He's like, "No." Like, I've met a lot of really cool vegetarians and a lot of really.
Hey,
cool vegans.
if two vegans
Oh, yeah.
had a fight, is it still considered a beef?
Well, I told a different joke. So, did you know that cows are vegan? They only eat grass, right? Cows are vegan.
Yeah, that's why. That's how I.
That's
eat.
the food of my food.
That's how I get my vegetables, guys.
That's my
So
food.
don't say you don't ever get your vegetables.
Yeah,
Right.
that's why I eat meat. What
Oh
else?
yeah, so are we still gonna be talking about this whole gender like lady reboot thing? Okay, there's one thing we haven't talked about. We've been wanting to talk about it for like a couple podcasts for now.
Terminator.
Terminator.
Okay, Angelo, do you mind if we talk about
Have you
Terminator?
seen
It's like, la,
Terminator?
la, 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 it's okay. You
Okay,
can
there's
do
not
so
much that we're gonna
No,
reveal.
no, go ahead.
Do you want to go
Yeah.
first, or do you want me to go first?
Okay, you're first and foremost. You've seen the original Terminator.
Okay, All right, so you guys were talking about like when you're trying to force a political message rather than just do your best job to make a movie.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So like before you guys get into that, like Aliens.
Yeah,
the
the
movie
movie
Aliens.
franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you talking about the sequel or
female
the
first one?
But
The
I mean,
first one was just simply known as Alien.
but a powerful
okay.
female lead, right?
Yeah, but they didn't even market that way. But I think
It was a great movie.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I think the reason why it worked that way back then because there was no social media
Oh.
that was blowing it up, saying, "Oh look, blah blah blah."
Okay,
What
yeah.
I
So
thought about
from
Terminator.
Okay, before going to Dark Fate, let's talk about, since you're not too much of a movie buff. Okay, I just want to know your opinions from movie to movie, ignoring the other Terminator movies. First one 1984.
It was good. It was good. I watched the first one. I watched the second one. They were great, right?
Yeah, arguably the best one. Well, hands down, there's no argument.
He didn't even speak
Terminator
in that
2.
one, right? First one,
No, he really didn't.
like he didn't have any speaking role
No.
in that one. He just like moves.
Well, yeah. Well, in that first one, yeah, there's more than one Terminator with the same looking as Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not. Yeah. So anyway, first one's great. It had like our feel to it, right?
Yeah.
Like second one was the best one. It was the sci-fi action movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, ignoring Terminator 3, ignoring Terminator Salvation, ignoring even fucking Genesis.
Oh,
that
I
was
didn't
just-
watch them. I followed your advice. I just
Okay,
skipped
yeah,
them.
skip those. Good
Yeah.
thing you did. Now this
I don't
newest
normally
one,
follow your
2019,
advice, but-
2019, Terminator, Dark Fate. That's supposedly the true sequel
Okay.
after Terminator 2.
Right. Okay. So you ready for my thoughts?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Shoot.
So I'm gonna mess up the names, but okay. So they add in a new female character, and they want her to be the
Her name was Danny.
Yeah.
that-
Oh, yeah, that's right, Danny. So they want her to be the empowered female character, but most of the movie she is.
Spoilers. Just
Oh
saying
yeah,
that right now.
spoilers alert. So
Yeah.
trigger warning, spoiler alert. If you don't want to, want to hear about the movie,
And why haven't you seen it? I mean,
we'll just click a
it's
button.
okay movie, but okay.
Just click. We'll put like a link to a different timestamp and just fast forward.
Yeah.
through
Pause
that.
now.
Yeah, pause now. Fast forward till, and we'll put a link or something. Okay, so most of the movie she spent relying on the other characters who happen to be white.
But could you also say the same thing about Sarah Connor relying on Kyle Reese in the first movie?
Which one are we going for? Are we looking
talking
for like
about
gender now, or are we talking about like white-
Race. Well, I
race
was
now?
Well,
it's
it's an
kinda-
issue of race and gender.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
but pick
it-
one first. Like,
Okay,
you know,
but I'm saying like they're very confused about their wokeness message that they're trying to do, right?
Okay.
And so
but
by-
most importantly, why do you think, like you said, spoiler warning, all right? Why the change of the protagonist?
I think it was a mistake, an absolute mistake, and here's why. Because the first two movies were already female empowered movies.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, you already had Sarah Connor in the first
Oh man,
one.
Sarah
Yeah.
Connor
I
was
mean,
like really bad.
She
Yeah.
wasn't.
And
She wasn't a badass until she helped out Kyle Reese.
she's like absolutely ripped in the second movie. Like she's
Oh
just
yeah,
like
the second one ripped. You could tell.
like and by ripped I mean like she's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
really strong, obviously in good shape. She's the
And she was a badass, yeah.
exactly. She was a badass.
Protecting. We haven't even got to it yet. Her son, John
Right,
Connor.
but so even though in the future, in this hypothetical future, John Connor was the hero, but in the first two movies, he never was the hero
Okay, first movie he hasn't even been conceived.
Exactly.
Second one, he's already been born.
That's
He's
the-
9 years old.
That's what I'm saying is he doesn't even get to be the hero. She is the hero of the first two movies.
She is the hero, a
there's
guardian.
So exactly. So there's no point in rewriting the movie to try to make a female hero because it was already a female empowered.
But the
female
thing is,
hero.
John Connor was to be a hero for a future
Fictional-
that might have been happened.
Fictional story that never happened.
Those the now non-canon films featuring John Connor.
Yeah.
Well, is this Danny right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's her name.
Well,
Was she from the future?
She's from the
For a different timeline.
a different future. Yeah. So
Well, that's why
So there's future
female
so,
androids gonna take over the world.
Let's explain what happened to John Connor. I think that's vitally important.
In fact, this was a hole in the movie that made no sense because in the second movie, did you watch them, Angelo? The first two?
I watched the first two. Yeah.
Okay, so in the second movie,
best movie.
in
Yeah,
the-
I mean,
okay,
that's-
so in the second movie, they destroy that whole future timeline gets destroyed.
yeah, Judgment Day never happened.
Because and so John Connor never has to be the hero because the guy who created the
Miles Dyson.
yeah, who created the what was the name of the
Cyberdyne.
Cyberdyne. Yeah, he dies in that movie, right?
Yeah.
So
And so
all any
how-
trace of evidence of that technology gone, right?
Yeah. So how does a Terminator from a future that didn't happen come back in time?
Probably he had already came back in time before.
No, because this is afterwards and kills. Spoiler alert.
Continuity
Well, this
errors.
is
And
Well,
kills.
this is what time. This is why like what we call it, time traveling.
But it's
paradox.
so it's a time traveling paradox that shouldn't exist and shouldn't happen.
Okay,
Now
but
it depends on how you do the time traveling. Because like in Dragon Ball, there's multiple futures that can exist.
don't get me started because in Dragon Ball Super, which you haven't
Let's
seen,
stop right there. Let's focus
yeah, like,
on.
that's
focus on
another
Terminator.
discussion for another day.
Yeah,
So in Terminator,
Angelo knows what I'm talking about.
yeah,
So
I do.
In Terminator, okay, so there's no way there should have been a Terminator that could come back in time to have killed
After preventing Judgment
John
Day.
Connor. Yeah, after they prevented, after Sarah Connor helped to change the timeline.
Okay, maybe logically it wasn't the best decision to make, but you think they did it out of wokeness?
I do think that
I think
might have
they
been
did.
the motivation. And the thing is that they already had a really good movie to begin with.
So for those who haven't watched it, yeah, Arnold.
Watch it. I don't
But
think
they
it'll-
might have a point though. Like
Or- They
female
killed Edward
android-
Furlong, John Connor, supposedly shortly after Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
right.
Yeah.
And so they create this character named Danny who spends the entire movie as a weak character.
Mexican lady from Mexico, some part of Mexico.
why do you have to say that? Man?
Oh,
Well, I mean, brown
joking.
pride, baby.
Oh, and then,
La
like,
raza, you
but
know?
then he doesn't like. She
But that's
doesn't
not-
know that she's a robot.
No, she's not a robot. So she's a human being.
She's pretty much-
she becomes the new John Connor basically. She's the leader.
Even before then, Sarah Connor thought, oh, you know what? She's going to get impregnated and she's going to be just like me, being this, this
Carrier of.
Of a
carrier
son,
of the world's future leader, future leader of the world.
Yeah, and I thought that was like that wasn't necessary.
Yeah, she wasn't a Sarah Connor, but she ended up being a John Connor instead,
Yeah, but so she's supposed to become a John Connor in the future,
and not a Sarah Connor.
but-
okay, so Danny's not the robot.
but there's another empowered female who is sent from the future in the past. She becomes a new sort of like
She's a cyborg.
yeah.
in true
Yeah, that
sense
one.
of the word.
Yeah.
Because technically Terminators aren't cyborgs.
yeah. But she becomes like
more androids.
she's kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger's role in the second movie where Arnold's protecting John Connor.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty much like the Guardian.
She fills that guardian role. And so the whole movie, you have well, not that it matters what a race is, but you have three white people protecting this Hispanic person who's portrayed as weak. And it's like,
mean,
they did a terrible job at trying to do
be
a
fair,
woke social justice
well,
movie.
I mean, to be fair, in the original Terminator, wasn't Sarah Connor this weak white woman who didn't know anything, and then towards the end,
She
she
becomes
got the
empowered.
balls and she became empowered.
Yeah, all right. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
But it's just, I don't think that's what the issue was. I think the issue was that
No,
she was this scrawny little Mexican chick.
So I was making an issue of. I wasn't making an issue of that. I was saying that to me, it felt like it could have been done better. If you were going to make her a powerful lead, well, they could have made that turning point happen sooner or differently, right? It felt like it was just not well thought out, and it didn't. It's just a continuity. It just left more holes in the story.
And then you just became a part of civilized society. Got a job, you had a family. Named himself Carl. Made drapes for a living. For, some shit. Yeah,
Right.
I saved you 2 hours from watching the movie.
Yeah.
You know what? Originally, I did enjoy the movie, but now that I hear all this talk about wokeness,
It was alright.
I feel like,
it wasn't a terrible movie.
fuck,
but
maybe I should hate it now.
no, it's fine.
Like, okay, the movie could have been better. I mean,
Could've had
I
less
think the
continuity.
issue was because you killed an established character who happened to be this white little boy
Well, I have
named
no
John Connor.
I have no problem with killing established characters because a lot of good movies and good shows, TV shows, do that, and I think that that's kind of cool because it kind of keeps the audience on its toes.
If you do it like maybe accidentally, it's okay. But
So John Connor got accidentally shot by a Terminator.
no, but like, no. If people like forcefully like change character just for the sake of it, not because the guy has talent, not because the
I mean, sometimes you do that. Like, did you watch Angelo? Did you watch Game of Thrones?
yeah.
like you're killing main characters left and right in there, and it actually,
There's some characters you only seen during season 1.
Well, I'm saying like it created a lot of suspense because you just don't know who's safe.
But that's not
right.
I don't think
so. There's that way of doing it. I don't think that's what happened here.
Let's hear Angelo. Let me see what he's gonna say.
Yeah. Well, so like you talk about Game of Thrones, so like I read the books. Like I'm like, that's like a Bible for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like, what were you? For the most part, the casts are like exactly the way it was written.
Yeah.
It's save for the age, because in the Game of Thrones there were
in the book. Oh, you're
there
saying
were like 5, 7.
Are you saying because you read the books you already knew who was going to live and die?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Well, for me, it was a surprise sometimes.
Well, it's still a surprise when you're flipping the pages. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, because you're following this character, and then suddenly they're killed, and you're like, oh, nobody's safe, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but what was the point of all that character development, and they're just dead in the next?
No, but I think that was the point, though. Like life happens like that.
Yeah, and so I have no problem if you kill a main character. Let's say in Terminator.
No, but like not like that. I'm saying like okay, so all the character lists going to the.
Well, The Walking Dead.
Would you want like Ned Stark to be like Samuel L. Jackson?
What do you mean?
And then Samuel L. Jackson's character always gets killed.
Samuel Jackson's character always gets killed.
Well, like in some his early films.
No, Ned Stark. Like, do you want Ned Stark instead of?
Ned Stark was what, the father figure?
Yeah, instead of Sean Bean playing the part.
Sean Bean was Ned Stark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of him playing
Sean
the part,
Bean in all his movies,
would you want?
I think I see where you're going with here. Like, if you so like certain traits are you're talking about like genetic continuity, like. I've seen these. I feel like there's a joke in here somewhere. Like there's a movie that makes fun of this, where like it's like 2 white parents and a black child, and the black child doesn't know they're adopted. Is that what you're talking about?
No, but like in terms of like it was written, obviously they're like Nordic descent.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly right.
They have Nordic descent. You don't want Ned Stark to be like
Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson or something like that.
Oh, I thought you meant like in terms of
like people always die. I know.
That's when I was talking about the Scarlett Johansson, playing Harriet Tubman. Like, there's got to be the fiction, right?
Yeah. Oh, so she was supposed to play Harriet Tubman?
No, that's not real. But I'm saying like that would be an example.
Right.
Well, there you go. You were saying earlier that you can have as many.
I think you can. There are some things that kind of push our boundaries as far as what we should do.
I mean, Scarlett Johansson did play that chick from Ghost in the Shell.
Or how about this one?
Okay, but there's going to be... Okay, wait, hold on. How about this? But in the foreseeable future, given that, it's no longer taboo, and for good reason, it shouldn't be taboo for people to date out and marry and have children with people outside their race, there's going to be more homogeneity in how people look, right?
That's probably just a Western...
But I'm saying it's eventually there's going to be some point in the future where more and more you're going to have people who no longer have the features of like red hair. So red hair is a recessive. Yeah, thank you, Angelo. Recessive trait.
What does that mean exactly?
That means that there's going to be some point, unless you have 2 people who have children who have that trait, there's going to be no possibility for that trait to get passed on to future generations.
It'll pass on. It'll just be
but it won't. If it's recessive, it'll never show.
It'll just be it'll just be a sleeping.
Yeah, exactly.
Genes.
So it won't. So like the phenotype, the actual red hair won't show, and so there's going to be a point at which there's going to be nobody with the traits in the future to play these historical characters. Or
kind of reminds me of...
would it be sad though?
That reminds me...
no, because here's the thing. Okay, so like we're trying to do diversity, right?
Right.
But then as we assimilate along to each other...
Well, we're still going to have a lot of diversity. It's just some traits happen to be
No, but eventually if everyone mixed with each other...
Yeah.
We'll have pretty much no more other like...
We'll still have genetic diversity.
Yeah, probably like
let me just
clip ears or something, but that's about it.
It reminds you of that movie. Anyone seen that movie Idiocracy?
Yep.
Yeah,
I've seen
okay.
it. Man,
All
you're
those
missing a lot of movies, man.
all the,
I know.
See, he's
well,
not a nerd. I don't know why I hang out with
here's
this
the
guy.
thing is Jason just wants to show me only some movies.
Okay.
And the worst movies.
You know, the worst movies to
Idiocracy is a documentary.
Like he wants to show. Jason
Idiocracy should be considered a documentary.
Jason wants to show me.
Okay, the same guy that-
Sharknado 2.
I didn't give.
Sharknado
Actually, I
3.
don't give a fuck about Sharknado. Maybe The Room, and that's it. Anyway, going back to that, okay, the same guy who brought you Beavis and Butthead Office Space made this movie called Idiocracy. Pretty much all the smart people die off, and they only, through natural selection, right? And then guess who the only ones left in the world?
The people who are.
Stupid people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like literally stupid, like the stupid.
Yeah, because because you're smart with your choices. So you're like, let's not make a baby right now because financially we can't
That
afford
actually
it.
is true.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so
Like,
the
so I'm saying
smart
that-
people getting died off,
That is actually a world,
and all the
That is
idiots-
actually a world we live in.
and
Yeah,
all the idiots thrive in the world.
Yeah. So.
And they're all breeding with each
so-
other.
so good
So in the
parents-
future, everyone's a fucking idiot.
So good parents tend to want to have fewer children because they're really thinking about how they.
Yeah, that's why I said
provide for the children.
Idiocracy is
They're really
the documentary.
It's
they're
a
really-
documentary.
they
Yeah, but
really-
the longer they wait, obviously, the higher the risk.
Well, the other one, true, yeah. And so the other thing is that people who are atheists have fewer kids, and so the world gets more and more religious, sadly. And so there's that aspect too. And so atheists and people who care about their
Well,
children.
so that
who make
means
good parents.
natural selection. They die off.
It's almost like reverse.
So pretty much,
natural
yeah,
selection.
it's about this guy. He gets frozen, and then he wakes up in the future. Everyone's stupid, retarded, right?
Don't say that.
Okay, I shouldn't say that.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
Jason.
They
Hashtag cancel
can't cancel me if you don't know who I am. I'm not white, so you can't cancel me.
Oh, I'll thrive.
Okay, so what about that movie?
Okay, yeah. Who knows? You might not be here for long, Andrew.
Well, I actually got the news from my doctor. I might only have like 50 years left.
50 years.
Yeah, I'm done.
Give or take.
Give or
depending
take.
how-
Yeah.
I mean, it might be a lot sooner, maybe a few days from now. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Just kidding.
Well,
No, but that movie's funny.
It
You gotta
depends on
watch
our
it.
responses on the
Brought to you by
podcast.
Carl's Jr.
Yeah, if we're canceled or not.
Right, yeah.
Remember that? Brought to you by Carl's Jr.
Oh yeah, earn more money that way.
I mean, more money that way just saying that. I wish I could just say that and I get paid money every time I
Then
say
you're gonna be one of those idiots.
Wait, what do you mean?
We're quoting the movie.
Oh, okay.
He's like, oh, what do plants need? Electrolytes. You know what electrolytes are. And then
Like-
give it a game
or
like, power rating.
you gotta put water in them, like toilet water.
He's like, oh my gosh, that movie's fucking hilarious. Well, there we go. We can critique that movie next.
Yeah.
If you
All
want.
right. Well, give me a list of movies. I'll
Sure.
work through them. I'll do my best. I can't promise I watch all of these, but give me a list of movies and we'll watch them
Idiocracy would
and
be
talk
pretty
about
good.
them.
Well, you still have, like I
Talk
said,
about
you
them.
still haven't seen Fight Club.
Well, see, I don't want the podcast to turn into just movie reviews.
I mean, every other episode could be movie reviews.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, movies are something that relate to pop culture.
Or how about this?
Or
Like,
current events.
it's
Yeah,
a
but it
little
always
segue.
does.
How about this? It's a little segue from this. Okay, so like a lot of people say like culture appropriation if you wear like clothes from other places. Let's say Japan. People be wearing kimono. you
Right.
know? So they say it's cultural appropriation. There's our culture. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
Yeah, because this is a crazy part. How about language?
Yeah, right.
People try to learn
And I would
different
say,
languages.
And I would say no. Learning more languages makes you a
Broaden your mind,
broader
yeah.
person. Yeah, a better person.
Yeah, but then it's learning a language.
No, it can't
Cultural
be.
appropriation,
Exactly,
though.
it can't be. Or science.
Okay,
Science
I
can't be
think
cultural.
being a weeboo is cultural appropriation.
Okay, define that.
Oh, yeah,
for
yeah,
the,
See, you know
define
what I
that
mean.
for the.
Oh my
audience.
god, you do not know much anime.
I'm sure I've heard this before.
Remember
but-
how I talked about my friend Matt?
I mean, there's two types. Okay, there's otaku.
Otaku.
Otakus are the anime people, and weeaboos are the people who are like
They're-
obsessed with Japan.
Yeah, Japanese
Okay, yeah,
culture.
yeah, okay.
They wish that, but I think they fail at cultural appropriation, but they kind of wish they did.
Okay.
But no, actual issue with cultural appropriation is like, well, okay, I remember watching this video or something where like,
Well,
okay,
there's mockery.
okay,
right?
But this wasn't mockery. What am I going to tell you right
If
here?
it's mockery, I think
That's just mockery. But that it can exist as mockery.
Yeah.
You don't need a new word like cultural appropriation.
Well, I don't think you.
Here, let me tell you the story real quick. I don't know how I
okay.
heard it or see it. Okay.
Okay.
So there's this white guy, right? He wore a kimono, like a dress ceremony for like Japanese drums. And then people on the internet are calling him out. Oh, he's cultural appropriating. It's like, no, he's one of the only few people that knows how to play these
I think I heard of that
ritualistic
one,
Japanese
okay.
drums. And he's just learning from that culture. I don't think he's appropriating anything.
Right. Yeah. So to me, there's no problem with that. I think.
I mean, is it a cultural appropriation if you're at a quinceañera and you're listening to like Spanish music?
No.
Just because you happen to be,
and it doesn't make you Hitler if you celebrate Cinco de Mayo, if you wear a sombrero, like.
And what
is it a cultural appropriation if I say St. Patrick's Day and I'm not even Irish?
Yeah, and here's the thing is, okay,
what if you live in a project though?
Because
let's say you live in a
Hispanic
project.
Mexican people don't even celebrate the Cinco de Mayo.
That's because they probably forgotten about their identity or whatever, or how they were.
What if
up.
you're a white guy who lives in a project?
Yeah,
and then your environment is like that.
Right. Imagine people show up at his door and say, "Hey, you're poor. You're culturally appropriating."
Oh no. Yeah. But just imagine that's how he grew up with, like that's the environment he grew up with,
exactly.
and then he goes somewhere
I see what
else.
you're talking about. Like the language.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then he goes somewhere else,
Yeah.
and he goes he talks and speaks,
right?
yeah.
That means he's
way.
cultured.
Well, so exactly.
Well, no, but people would be like, "Hey, why are you speaking like that?"
Oh yeah, people might get offended and not know their background.
Or
right?
how do you know they weren't born on vacation?
Well, that's one of my things. That's one of my issues with identity politics is people take someone's perceived identity, and then they
like Elizabeth Warren's.
Oh,
well,
colors
okay.
of the wind.
Yeah, well, okay. So Elizabeth Warren's. Okay, so obviously the controversy with, for those who don't know the joke, the controversy with Elizabeth Warren was that she claimed to be Native American.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what the percentage was, but it was such a low percentage that if you took a random person from the population, they would have a higher percentage of Native American DNA than Elizabeth Warren, right?
Yeah, but that's all it takes, right?
What do you mean?
Like a certain percentage.
Yeah, but so the thing is when because of just random
mutation,
yeah, but because of the random mutations that could occur, there's a famous biologist, evolutionary biologist named Jerry Coyne, who did an example. She actually could be more Native American, and it won't show up in her genetic test. Okay. And because of genetic tests, most of the people who tend to get the test are of European descent. Any test that you get is going to skew more European. And so she actually might have more Native American DNA than shows up. But it's a great example because you can't just look at somebody and know what their experiences are.
Yeah. Right?
And even if something is statistically true, that's called stereotyping if you use general statistics to say to explain somebody's experience, right? And so we're against stereotyping. So I have a problem with identity politics, even whether it's done from the right, the extreme right, which tends to be racist, and the extreme left, which has a different form of racism that's usually well-intentioned, is that they use even some statistical evidence, which is true. Like it's true that most of the billionaires probably are white, I imagine. Okay. But how many billionaires do you know? The base rate is so low. If you meet a white person, they're probably not a billionaire. Yeah. Right? Because the base rate is so low. And so people don't use what are called Bayesian statistics. They forget base rate. And I have a problem with people who try to make assumptions off of perceived identity because you don't know anything about that guy or girl or whoever.
Yeah.
As you perceive
well, you know what? It's funny.
Identity. Guy or girl.
Or however they identify, yeah.
You know, I pass off as white and maybe I can get canceled just because I look white.
Well, remember I keep coming back to that example of your teacher who just made all these assumptions about you.
Oh, me manspreading?
Yeah.
I think she said it in a playfully joking manner.
I know, but you know these.
But that's before I even knew what manspreading was.
That's playful joking
people,
manner.
But you know, they use it to make decisions at the college that impact people that they're assuming are privileged. But these are These are kids.
I'm a starving, struggling student.
But you know what I mean? Like these are 17, some of them are 16, some of them are 15 and 14. We're talking 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, to look at them like they've wronged others based on their perceived identity is disgusting. And yet some of my colleagues do it regularly. And
like what instance? Give us like an example.
well, like saying, I don't want to get canceled, man. I can give you a lot of examples.
Well, let's just use fictitious names if we have to.
No, because they'll know who they are, and they're on my.
Well, I mean,
no.
I don't know.
How about this though? Like, okay, so genetically, you might not be like, let's say, Native American.
Yeah,
or whatever,
but you might have grown up in a community that is a deeply Native American, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Like Oakland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like let's say
well, that happened with Jordan Peterson.
You grew up in like let's say you're in like you grew up in China most of your life.
Right.
So
you might not look
your
Chinese.
you might not look Chinese, but your mannerism and
everything's Chinese.
Everything about you is Chinese.
You speak perfect Mandarin, right?
Yeah, because that's your language.
Yeah. That's just who you are.
I mean, you could be.
Well, something like that happened.
but I'm saying
something like that happened to Jordan Peterson, where he was debating Michael Eric Dyson, and so he was making. Well, he's an activist, and he was saying that he needs to visit indigenous populations, and just throwing out like slurs at Jordan Peterson. He called him a angry white man, right?
We're talking about the
He's a really popular commentator and scholar who talks about issues of race.
I think he just loves the sound of his own voice.
He might. And
like Ben Shapiro.
And that would be the other extreme, right? And so he was debating Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson happens to be a member of he's an honorary member of an indigenous community. And so they're making assumptions about Jordan Peterson's culture and about who he is. And they knew nothing about him. They just saw a white man.
Yeah, he's
because
Canadian,
that's what they're used to.
So is he a native Canadian? Or
well, he's Canadian, but I'm saying like going back to what Angelo was saying is that you can't just look at somebody and know what their culture is.
Yeah, like I didn't
know what their experiences are.
Yeah, like me looking at you, at first I thought you were white. Because you're
with curly hair and
then you kind of end up looking like Fred Savage, Wonder Years.
He looks like the guy from Where Did You Go?
Well, I've actually experienced this a lot. So I identify more closely with Mexican culture, even though I'm only Mexican on my mom's side. I don't know if you know this, Angelo, but I'm only Mexican on my mom's side, and on my dad's side, he's from El Salvador. But I haven't spoken to my dad in years. We share almost nothing in common. The number of things I've done and interact with my dad, I can probably count on one hand. And so if you identified me as El Salvadorian first, which many people do because they ask me about where my dad's from, Hispanic people tend to do this, you would get almost everything wrong about who I am as a person. Because my culture, because of Jocelyn, I identify more closely with the Mexican side of my culture, in a sense, because I spent more time in Mexico in recent years than I have.
Why can't you identify as American?
I've never been to El Salvador. Well, I'm also identify as American, of course, too. But you see what I'm saying is like if people want to put me in a category.
Yeah, at least they didn't call you.
And I was like, oh, really?
I think some people confuse white privilege from like skin tone. No, because even in let's say Southeast Asian community, the lighter skin are favorable.
Oh, I see. I've seen that in Hispanic community too, skin color, and so they'll make jokes about if you
there might
in
be
the sun.
There might be just that too in African American. Like people say Halle Berry is hot, Mariah Carey is hot.
Oh, I see.
See, but because they're lighter skin tones.
I see. Yeah.
And
definitely. I think there's definitely some racism there.
Isn't Mariah biracial, or she's
biracial? Yeah.
Yeah, but they're going for like the lighter skin tone.
Yeah, I see.
Like,
the Rashida Jones. She's a perfect example.
Who is it?
Rashida Jones.
She's from. Give me a reminder.
Parks and Rec. She's only the daughter.
I can't put a face.
Oh no, you're a musician.
I know. Yeah, I should know who
Come
that
on.
is. Yeah. Well, just because you listen to some music
yeah,
doesn't mean you know who they look like.
I'm pulling your leg.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's besides
I'm
the
pulling
point.
your
Like I vaguely,
saxophone.
you're a popular musician.
But see
if
I just made that assumption. You're a musician.
So
you
I
should know all this stuff.
Yeah.
See?
Well, maybe
Yeah,
I
I
should.
do that to him all the time.
Yeah.
Or even as an English professor.
Well-
How do you know how to spell that word? You're an English professor.
That's
No,
my
but
weak-
like, see,
that's
this-
my weakest area.
That's just a sample of like.
Yeah, exactly.
Of people doing
Assumptions that
so.
people make. Now, and people have to make assumptions to function in life, but we don't want people to make important statistics.
Well, I mean, yeah, you
or-
gotta have. You gotta sometimes base off your things off assumption. Otherwise, you gotta like not speak until
I
you're
know,
perfectly
right? It's
like.
like imagine you walk up to somebody and they're wearing a Lakers jersey and it has like LeBron on it, and then you ask them a question about the Lakers and like, oh, I never heard of the Lakers.
Then why the hell would you wear a Lakers jersey to begin with?
Yeah. And
Or
so-
like you ask him
yeah,
about like,
so-
hey, do you know anything about like Chicago Bulls or something?
right. And so some assumptions are okay.
Well, then there's stupid assumptions like,
then there are
okay,
assumptions
my Walmart vest, I have it on while I'm working. Obviously, I have to. And then I get questions like, hey, do you work here? No, I just wear the fucking vest. I don't really work here.
I've actually gotten that for wearing a blue shirt at Walmart before. They asked me if I worked there. I'm like, oh no, but
I think I did that. That happened to me in Best Buy.
Best Buy. You wore a
Yeah.
blue shirt and
Yeah,
the
I was
khaki
wearing-
pants.
No, it's probably lighter pants.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I look like someone who can fix your computer. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see why.
Well, you can fix computers, so yeah.
oh yeah, but like,
So even though
but I'm not gonna get paid doing
their
that over there.
their heuristic
Or a
was wrong,
girl's
but
number.
they ended up getting the guy. Yeah.
Oh, so that's a good assumption, I guess.
Yeah. It just happened to get the answer right for the wrong reason.
Yeah. You know what else we could talk about? I remember that video. I don't know if you remember it. I think it was like a week ago. Remember that video? It was from that no bullshit guy. And we were talking about who's the most woke.
I didn't watch it because I don't watch that show.
Uh,
But I do remember they were kicking some people off or something like that.
yeah, for not being. I don't know. Maybe that could be a whole
Is
other
that
discussion.
is that a YouTube like there's an icon of like it looks like a plaque of a sign and there's a bull with like
yeah.
Yeah.
no I think I followed him.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe I should do a critique of the guy.
And then he's gonna do critique of you.
Maybe. So here's the thing: is that
How about grade A and A?
I don't. What is that?
How about grade A?
I don't know anything about.
That one's
It's
pretty
another.
funny.
It's another YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Well, I just sometimes to me it seems like they contradict themselves or that they don't fully follow their logic all the way down the way they should, and I think there's
Like
better.
graybeards.
There are.
Graybeards.
I don't know. They're better channels. They're better argument.
But but at
arguments.
least it gives us a springboard to talk about these issues.
Oh, true. But
Yeah.
I think that the issues they bring up are interesting, but sometimes I think they're better arguments one could make. It's like, to me, it's like.
Oh, grade A is pretty good.
Well, I'll give you an example. Do you guys know who Candace Owens is?
No.
No?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you know Candace Owens. Or another example, a similar type of character.
She's in ProU right now, right?
Oh, I don't know. A YouTube. She's kind of a commentator, a public commentator, political commentator.
Candace Owens?
Candace Owens? No?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
she's been on Joe Rogan before. There's another guy. Well, you know this guy, I'm sure. The one married to Kim Kardashian. His name is
Kanye West.
Kanye West. Yeah, that guy. Okay, so he's also made political arguments. Now, they're not good political arguments. Now, are some of them on the right topic? Yes, but there are people who make those arguments far better. And so I would
You
say
just happen to be one of them just because you're educated?
not me. No, I'm not even trying to do that. I'm saying that.
No, I wasn't attacking.
But there's this guy Coleman Hughes who makes very reasoned, very sound arguments. They're supported by evidence. I don't like the type of guys that are just complaining about getting ad hominem attacks and being called names like racist, bigot, sexist, etc., who do nothing but say social justice warrior, these radical left who just do nothing but ad hominem attacks in their own videos.
You know,
I
I kind of add on hominem attacks.
So you really won't hear
So
me.
you get triggered if I say social justice warrior.
No, but I don't think it's useful.
The one I was talking about, grade A, was pretty much like critiquing that kind of
That kind of commentary.
well, not commentary, but like let's say like there was one really funny thing that he said like you can't say like person
Because of the word.
because the word sun in there.
Yeah, I think you told me about
Yeah, because the sun is in there.
What about human?
Oh, because man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so you can't say like you can't say woman because man is still
you
there.
can't change the etymology and the roots, the forms of the linguistic parts of the words. Okay, those words are gonna stick forever to mean what they mean and how they're gonna sound. So you cannot change that, right?
Yeah. So like, there's one they say like you can't say woman because there's men in it, so you gotta substitute the men to person.
You know, you can't
But it
call.
has
So
the
you'd
word
be
sun.
able,
That's like saying you can't call a woman a manager. Manager.
yeah, yeah. So
Right.
like it will be
Don't,
like
don't let my
Yeah.
girlfriend
And some
say
of
that.
and some of these words have no connection to the like some language was masculine and feminine to begin
Oh,
with.
yeah, like-
I know, right? Then there's the other one. Some people are changing the word folks to add an X at the end. Folks isn't even gendered.
I actually don't like the idea of like Latin.
Oh, but they do the
Yeah,
Latin
yeah.
community.
Latin. Oh my god.
Oh, okay.
That
All right.
pissed me
So
off.
I kind of like the X. I like the sound, but
I think you just like it because it looks cool.
it looks cool.
cool.
Exactly.
There you go.
And then
Okay.
I just happen to be a fan of X-Men. So I'm
Okay,
X.
okay, but I actually saw a poll recently. It was published in it was published by a conservative media outlet, but the original people who did the poll are liberal, and it turns out that something like, well, I don't want to say the number because I don't want to get it wrong. I'll just link to it, but I'll just say a large majority of people who would be referred to as Latinx don't like the word Latinx.
Yeah.
Because it's an Anglican attempt to fix a word that is
Exactly.
gendered.
So here's the thing. So like Latin-based languages tends to be masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
there-
that's the language, right?
yeah, and there are some gender neutral.
Oh yeah,
options
yeah. But here's
that
my
could
point.
that
right
could
here.
exist within the language itself. But
Yeah.
you've taken an Anglican try to fix.
Yeah.
or-
See.
yeah,
But yeah,
Otherwise, don't let white
exactly.
people fix our problems.
yeah.
But also, so culturally, the Latin, like Latin speaking country,
Yeah.
culturally, they base their stuff on gender.
Right. Yeah. And so what happens is you have some of these people who are doing this are Hispanic, but they're professors. Many of them can take 3 months or 4 months out of the year. These are highly privileged people with PhDs who make 6-figure salaries, who are then complaining about word use and doing from a top-down orientation, saying you should use this word. But it's a word that most people don't identify with, apparently.
Yeah, it's a language thing. Cause
Yeah. Or I don't know if most people do.
Well, just like English.
Well, same thing with a Chicano.
Yeah, well, so I'm open to it.
Well, 'cause,
I
like,
kind of
let's say
like the
English.
I mean,
word,
if you like the ring of it, just go for it. But if not,
I like the ring of it, but if people don't like it, I'm not going to call people.
And then what about calling people by certain pronouns? I think that's kind of
So I was going to say, well, really quick before we go to pronouns, I was going to say is I wouldn't want to call somebody who would be considered a minority by a word they're not happy with. Like, that makes sense? Like, if somebody says, don't call me that, I'm not going to call them that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
why
Like,
not?
if I'm just out of decency. But I saw this woman say, oh, my company uses this word. It would be too hard to change. It's like, no. Progressive people change the words they use and how they refer to minorities if minorities don't like it.
Yeah, it kind of makes you think about most job applications. They ask you if, for some reason, they ask you, okay, what's your race, your ethnicity? And then there's a subsection. He's like, are you Latino? How's that not part of the first question? Why is that its own separate question?
Well, because Latino means that you're from Latin America.
No, but
Yeah.
why is it still not in the?
Yeah, like
The ethnicity.
okay, you're either white, black, Asian, or Hispanic.
Well,
but
that's-
why is Hispanic its separate box? You know what I'm saying? Have you not seen this in
I
applications?
have seen that before. I think it's in the census too, huh?
Yeah.
That's coming out. We're gonna have the census soon
Oh,
too.
yeah, census is.
It is kind of weird. The thing with race is that race does exist. There are genetic differences between
I think
people.
there's a lot of things that are wrong with ethnicity.
Well, so the thing is that
Part of it is here when they say Asian. Are you talking about the entire continent of Asia?
Exactly. You're
Or are
getting
you-
right to the point I was gonna make.
Yeah. Or are you
there's so
talking
much-
about like Eastern Asia?
Yeah,
Which one are you
there's-
talking? Far East.
exactly. So while there are some genetic trends and differences. So there are more differences within a group than there are between a group, right?
Yeah.
And so there's no clear definition of how many races or ethnic. There's really only the human
Even
race.
when you say African American, when
Yeah.
you say African American, are you talking about like from Egypt?
No,
you know?
you can't because they're not American.
Yeah, but no, like
I
I mean,
mean,
like
dropping the American part.
yeah, like
So then they're just African.
yeah, no, but I'm saying yeah.
But
see.
you can call somebody
not just
African
that.
who
Not
doesn't
just
know
that.
anything about Africa, who's never lived in Africa.
No, but not just that. Let's say they have the first generation
Right.
from Africa came over here. They were born here now, so they're beginning to call African American, right?
Okay.
Right?
I guess that you could.
It's like saying, okay, there's this guy who looks Asian. Someone asks him, "Oh, where you're from?" and he gets annoyed by the fact that okay, he was born in Ohio, lived in Ohio.
Yeah,
It's just his,
he's
his
American,
parents
right? He's American.
happens to be from
Asia.
Indonesia or
Well,
something.
okay, but do you call somebody who's from whose family a generation or two back were from Ireland Irish American? It's dumb, right?
Yeah.
So it could just be American, right?
Yeah, I think people just
That
like to
might be the
label
more
themselves.
salient label.
Well,
Yeah, if you're born already here, you're already an American.
Yeah.
I mean, I just simply refer to myself as Mexican American or Chicano. You know, like I don't.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. You know, I guess there's a problem with how one. You know, with
Well, I think
self identity.
that's a beauty of English too, though,
Yeah.
because English can have like many descriptive.
You know,
You know.
interpretations.
Yeah, they can describe. You know.
Yeah.
What else? Like in other languages, they can't even explain like that. So let's say like in Filipino, there's no word for he, and there's no word for she.
Well, you were telling me about that, but there's a gender neutral word.
It's neutral, but you'll only figure out the person's identity until you've established, let's say, oh, it's a girl, it's a boy, or the name implies female name, male name. So you'll have to have an extra layer of.
But then there's some names that
conversation.
might be unisex, right?
Yeah, but you still have to explain later on that it's a girl, it's a boy.
Uh-huh.
So it's longer sentencing like that. But then English, because it's so descriptive, you can just say,
Well,
she is blah, blah, blah. You already know that it's a person.
Right.
Like she, female, like right away. You don't have to make another sentence saying what kind of, like, who is that?
right.
Like,
You get a lot of description.
yeah,
in
you
short
get a lot
period
of
time.
description in just one sentence.
Yeah. Although I'm a fan of the plural of the not the plural, the singular they. I think that I've come around to that pronoun.
Singular day?
Singular they. So it's like
I don't know,
saying
like me and my
I would-
shadow?
No,
What?
like I mean like
Like one person to one
Like,
person
I-
referring to them.
yeah.
You calling me fat?
no. I mean like,
I mean, that could be like translated that way.
no,
Like,
like
so a person referring to themselves as we, pretty much, right?
no. I mean like okay, somebody forgot their coat at the party.
You don't know who?
Someone you don't know who specifically.
One
so-
person, but you're not giving the gender, giving it a gender the
Because you
person.
don't know, right?
Because
Their
you don't know.
coat, yeah, someone-
right?
someone
their.
forgot
and
their.
so it's a plural pronoun, but I
But can you
feel
just
like
say someone forgot?
his or her coat.
Someone forgot their coat.
You
Yeah,
see, you just
exactly.
said
Yeah,
it.
there.
Yeah,
There.
yeah.
There. So I like there over the his or her. I feel like the his or her is wordy. We know in the antecedent is one. We know that it's singular, and so to me, while they don't, it wouldn't be technically grammatically correct. To me, the meaning isn't lost there.
Yeah, I can
It's
see that.
perfectly fine for me, and so I've come around to
Yeah. I think
the unisex or the androgynous they.
I may have like a trouble with that. With like if I don't know the gender, then I would say they. But if I've already seen by visual observation,
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to ever assume somebody's gender.
Right. Or
You know, it kind of happened at work too.
somebody said sir. They called you sir.
No. What
no,
happened?
but there's
Well, let
I
me
don't
give
know if I can say
let me
this.
give this quick story. Okay, so at work, female customer was complaining that supposedly a man with a blue denim jacket went into the female's bathroom, and then we were gonna have a female employee check if it was a man. But surely enough, that customer came back. Turns out it was just a woman with very short hair.
Oh, that's offensive. Yeah.
I mean, kind of looked like like a male. I could see the confusion that you
Yeah.
only saw the person from the back of their head and just assumed it was a male.
right. And the thing is you're in separate stalls.
well, you do you think it was
Anyways.
out of malice?
So let's
Maybe the
say-
guy was just concerned.
And then the manager had explained that it was just a female who had
Right.
that
Yeah, maybe
lifestyle
maybe
choice.
maybe the person was just concerned going in there.
Yeah.
Ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's better like wrong than late.
I know, but also, what if the person really has to go to the bathroom and that's the only bathroom,
No, that wasn't the case.
or there's a line. Well,
That
No, but
wasn't
if,
the
if it was the
that
case,
can happen.
if it was the case, that was the only bathroom available, and
Okay,
you really gotta go.
Can I give you an example? Like, let's say you really gotta go, but have you noticed that if you go to some nightclubs or some clubs, the male bathroom only has urinals, so men never do anything else other than just pee.
What if you gotta?
Exactly.
number two.
What are you gonna do? You can't, apparently, according to some.
Are these unisex bathrooms?
No.
No. Well, because the thing is,
I'll give you a place in Riverside. Check this out. I call this male privilege because I think they fixed this, but originally so they have a male only bathroom, and then they have a unisex bathroom, a gender neutral bathroom, and so the male only bathroom has 2 urinals in it, and that's it. And the gender neutral one, I haven't been inside of it, but I imagine it has a regular toilet that somebody could
What were they thinking?
vomit. And
What were they
do
thinking?
vomit, do whatever they want to do.
You know,
with.
there's something men and women have in common is that when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah, there's a book I think even called "Everybody Poops," right?
I didn't know that.
Wait, is this a children's book?
Yeah,
I think I
it's,
remember this. I don't know how.
I think you just blew my mind. Yeah.
This is a children's book to encourage them to just take a shit already. Yeah.
Maybe that's why I wasn't getting any luck in Valentine's.
There's the it's from Family Guy. It's like there's a religious version of this. That's concentrated evil coming out of your ass.
Yeah.
Okay, so they had 2 bathrooms. So men could use either bathroom, but women could only had 1 bathroom.
I mean, they can use the urinal.
I guess so. Yeah, if they feel comfortable, right? Like
It's possible. I've seen.
It could. Yeah, I guess you
I've
could do
seen
it. Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, maybe
pee
in
standing
movies,
up.
but
No, I've seen one in real life. Like,
Yeah.
wait, how did you see women real?
I paid
Oh.
for it. I'm kidding.
Okay. Cancel culture.
Yeah,
Cancel Angelo.
okay, cut that out before Angela gets canceled.
Okay, so I forgot where I was going with that. Okay, so it was something that have to do with assuming you were talking about gender or about using you were talking about the story of Walmart where so there could be good reasons for men to go in the women's restroom possibly then. I remember.
I think mine misspoke. I said it was a female
But it
customer
was a
that
female
looked like
customer.
a man.
Well, no, she had short hair,
With
right?
a short hair, like
Not
a
necessarily
man.
look like a man, but maybe from
Not
the
looking
back.
like a man, from the back, and that's what the confusion was.
Yeah, but even if she was male, should we? I mean, I don't know the
Like,
the
I gotta go,
laws
I gotta
and,
go.
Like,
Yeah.
like, are you gonna
Okay,
really
let's
stop
talk about.
somebody?
Let's talk about.
Well, no, I'm just asking a question.
Yeah.
Should we even care about somebody who's seriously just using the bathroom?
Well, we won't find out until afterwards.
But this is
Yeah,
another,
like
this is another.
that's probably why.
But this is another Bayesian.
safety.
Okay, but there's another Bayesian thing, right? Where people forget base rate, right? What is the likelihood that somebody walking into the restroom is a predator? The likelihood of the predator is infinitesimally low, right? And so just because they're male, right? While you, from a Bayesian sense, you might adjust your belief that they could be a sexual predator.
Is that
a
what
little
the
bit
issue is
higher.
here? Is that what the fear
I think that
is?
is the fear is
think the fear
sexual
is
predators,
that-
right? And so
That and we have like
and
maybe the men's urge to protect women.
Right. Okay. But I'm just saying, like, so more sexual predators are more men are sexual predators than women are sexual predators. Like that's probably a statistical truth, right? And so here's what I was saying about statistics is so important. Because recorded sexual predators, right? But just because that there would be a slight increase, you have to consider base rate, and so you have to multiply your beliefs. You have to update incrementally, and so the likelihood that person's a predator is really low still.
And then there's also
I think it just comes down to the fact that genetically maybe we are more protective of women, like men. are more. That's why, like, if someone went to the women's bathroom,
Okay,
like that, and we'd be like,
Well,
"What's
nobody.
going on?"
But nobody'd care if a woman went in the men's bathroom.
it's happened before.
Yeah.
But I mean, nobody'd care. It happens a lot.
Yeah, see what I'm saying, because it's the
I've
men's.
caught a few women going accidentally in the men's bathroom.
Yeah, but nobody cares, right?
I think she'd be just as surprised as the guy
But I mean,
going into the wrong bathroom.
I mean, no men are really complaining about women going into.
Someone
the men's
just went to
bathroom.
the, like that.
Yeah,
Like, can you kick
No,
her
they're
out?
like, oh, a woman went in the bathroom. I don't care.
Well, I mean, like,
Goes about their day.
right.
Yeah.
And so more people care about men going into the women's bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's women who want privacy or men who care because
It's
they're
a
trying to
mystery what they do
'cause
there,
there's,
man.
Like they're trying to
I don't know
protect
what they
them.
do in the restroom.
At the end of the day, I think
But
we all got to take care of business and then just tackle on.
a bathroom is a bathroom, and there are
Okay, this
there
isn't
are
like the
separate
domestic
stalls.
setting where you and your wife could share the same bathroom. All right. Do you want to share a bathroom with the female stranger you don't know?
If it's a bathroom and I have to go to the bathroom,
I mean, I think for men to female.
you're in your own stall.
No, I think for male to female, it's okay. Some people are okay with that, but if it's female trying to use the men's restroom, it's just because like we like not always on target all the time.
Well, that's
And then
And then, yeah, we missed.
that's
Yeah.
a different question of whether women want to use
Hygienic. It's hygienic.
it's a sanctuary issue too.
But I've actually heard. So one time I went. I think I've told this. No, I shouldn't say the story because then they'll know who they are. Okay, I'll just say the story because they probably won't listen to this.
Yeah,
I went
Travolta.
to Vegas and I stayed in. We had there were two rooms, and many of the men stayed in one room, and I was like one of the only men that stayed in this other room. It was like a suite, and the women were the dirtier group. Now that could just be my friends who didn't clean up after themselves, but I'm talking like French fries on the floor. Yeah, they didn't
Depends.
shower every day. It was really shocking for me to see the other side of things. And
Well, because they don't have to peacock a lot. Like men will just be like,
so
Whatever, man.
What I was saying is, you might assume
has a
that
hole.
you might assume that the men's bathroom would be dirtier, but it might not be, man.
Okay, let's move on to a more absurd gender issue.
Okay, go for it.
Gas stations.
What about them?
I'd float. I don't use that restroom.
No, not necessarily the
wants to
rest
use
of the
it.
gas station, like the pumps themselves. Okay, I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the last podcast.
Are you sure this is real? Go
No,
for it,
no,
go
this
for
is
it.
real. This is an article, but it's a stupid fucking article that must be discussed because it's.
Was it satire?
it's
Was it The
absurd.
Onion?
I don't think it was satire. No, this seems. I got maybe it's an issue in UK. I don't know. Okay. A woman claims that a gas station for being sexist, and the reason why is the fucking handle, the pump on the handle of the gas pump was too big for her small hands. I'm not making this up. I cannot make this up.
I thought it was that she was claiming it was sexist because it was a gas pump that goes into a gas tank or something.
Yeah, you think it'd be that? I mean,
Like
either way,
criticizing
it's
heteronormativity.
absurd.
Well, what do you think of that?
She's saying like, well, I guess the. Well, yeah. What do you think, Angelo?
Angelo?
Okay, so like the gas pump,
It's hard for her to use, like her hands.
yeah, because it's too big, right?
Yeah,
Or maybe it's
With that,
heavy.
like the squeeze, like the
squeeze
trigger,
took too much pressure.
too much pressure. Like the gas pump is what carries the gas, but like the trigger of where you put the gas.
I think we need to bring famine back or something.
I think we need a plague.
Yeah, we need to bring famine back.
Okay, I was gonna try to be
Just because so we can have like no first world problem.
Yeah, that sounds like a first world problem. I don't know how that's a sexist
Yeah.
issue.
It's not a sexual.
I don't think it's a sexist issue, but
I mean,
All
a
right, so
stupid
here's the
argument could
thing.
be like, oh,
A guy could do the same thing.
a guy could do the same thing. Yeah,
Saying
like,
it's too far,
somebody who
but we're
su-
just not complaining.
somebody who suffers, let's say, from rheumatoid arthritis, maybe.
No, let's not put like a disease on it. Someone just say like this day I was like, why do I have to pump again? La, 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 la. So like he's tired of like doing it, but he wasn't complaining.
Right.
Like it's just like such his
Well,
life.
okay,
He's just like doing
I'll do a reverse version of how
Sure.
it could be sexist against men. If that guy complained, he might get ridiculed.
no, you're just a fucking weakling.
See?
And so that's like almost a
But
reverse.
no, like, okay, they say because she's a working mom and she has
That's
cars.
how
whatever,
Darwin
but,
works, I guess.
But you know what? I mean, if you don't know how to pump gas,
It's not. It doesn't sound like she can't pump gas. She's saying, wouldn't it be better?
If she can,
Like,
Well,
steel,
okay.
Yeah, I like to always steel man or steel person or steel woman, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, let's steal this.
Steel man. Her argument.
Okay.
She couldn't pump the gas, and so she couldn't get gas in her gas tank. So she's saying, could we? Is there a way? I'm steel manning. Not is it sexist, but is there a way to make it easier for
pretty
us
much you're
to
playing
pump the
double
gas?
advocate when you're saying still manning, right?
Yes.
All right.
So when I say steel manning, I'm trying to think
you can't say devil.
what is the
Well, I can't say double might offend the Christians out there.
right exactly. So what I mean is like what is the best possible interpretation?
Well, being neutral about this, right?
and exactly
Okay.
and version of her argument.
Yeah.
So would it be better if instead of having to pull a lever and then put the little latch underneath, right?
Have a button.
And they do have that little
Have a
latch.
button. Yeah. Could we do? We live in a world where we could have a button.
But I think there's a reason in terms of design why there's not a button. I mean, I guess she's arguing
just
that in
order a
terms
button to
of
pump it then.
like how everything's supposedly designed from a male's perspective, like how we get into cars, seatbelts.
Well, how about an ableist perspective, right?
Well, maybe you know what? I think it's more of an issue of ableist perspective than it is about it's a sexist issue.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, because if somebody has like rheumatoid arthritis,
I guess,
it could be really hard for them.
Then I could see, I understand it, but calling it for being sexist, no.
Yeah, well,
But I'm pretty sure other women are able to pump gas in their
I
cars.
have a question. Do you know if she wrote the article or if her words were taken from by somebody else?
I wouldn't doubt it because it's just one of those new absurd stories I just wanted to share. You know.
Yeah, sometimes people's words are taken out of context and taken to the extreme because people just want clickbait. They just want something.
Yeah, that's what it
Man,
is.
that's so problematic with all the English majors out there, I guess.
Hey, I know, right? You're talking to two English majors here.
You won't believe what he said the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look how she became. Those are just
Right.
examples of.
Well, I mean, like,
yeah.
I'm not trying to bash on you guys. Can I say you
Hey,
guys?
we can't, we can't all learn the code,
Guys,
man.
you can't learn the code. Oh my god. No, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, there's a surplus of English majors.
Right. There's a lot of us, yeah.
Yeah. So some of them go to health, gaming industries, like articles,
like journalism.
Yeah, journalism.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe they're not so hot in that topic. Let's say video game.
Right. Well, it's hard to be hot in any like it's hard to be.
Well, let's say your hobby is video game,
even
and then
if your
you're also
hobby's video games, there's so many video games you haven't played, right?
yeah,
You're
true.
only
But the thing is like,
it's hard.
why
to
do you have to go to political?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Why do you have to go politically?
Yeah. Well, I think that
you're not trying to run a campaign, are you?
I see. I think that's something that has to do with how a lot of English majors are taught. And I have a problem with this. This is one of the reasons why I don't teach English 1B. Or I haven't... Well, it's not really critical thinking. I've said this.
No.
And
I just thought you thought you weren't critical thinking.
I love critical thinking, but I
But
think...
did they sway you in a different direction? They sway you in a different
Right.
I'm
direction.
trying to say, Andrew,
Well-
teach it this way.
Well, one of the ways that
Critically.
you're supposed to
Critically teach it this way.
So one of the ways that you do that is you're supposed to use different genres or different. So in English, when you take like your English critical theory classes,
Mm-hmm.
they teach you about different lenses. And so what you do is you use different lenses to analyze a text from different viewpoints. But the problem with going about it that way is I feel like oftentimes you start with your thesis up front, and then you look for passages in the text that
Mm-hmm.
support that lens. And so I think it's taught in the...
It's kind of like selective statistics.
Yeah, exactly. Like we would call it
Cherry picking.
cherry picking, or if you were in like psychology, this is the issue with psychology. They call it p hacking, where you didn't create the threshold that you'd have to pass ahead of time, or you didn't say what data you were going to collect first and then see what you got, right?
Yeah.
And so it's basically exactly that. Cherry picking, where you were almost teaching people to do motivated
from a low pickup truck or
from a low pickup trip. No, I didn't. It's probably an inside joke.
I didn't get that reference.
cherry picking from a low pickup truck.
Okay.
So it's almost like we're if the status quo is that most people use motivated reasoning, we're reinforcing motivated reasoning in our classes when we teach a lot of English majors. But what you should teach people is that your thesis comes last. The thesis comes after you've done after you've asked the questions. You don't know the answer until you've asked the questions. And so it really needs to be taught from a scientific perspective, where you look at many different angles and you learn different theories so that you can see and try to prove yourself wrong. So in science, you never prove something's true. You only prove that something's wrong. You falsify things.
Yeah, well,
a good scientific claim is falsifiable.
I agree with
and
that
if
one.
it withstands falsification, then and it continually withstands attempts at falsification, then the theory stands. It becomes considered a scientific theory, which is basically like a fact, like evolution. Evolution could be falsified. Right, you could find evidence that could contradict.
Just
evolution.
like autism was falsified when they say it was vaccines, but it was bullshit.
Right. Well, so some claims can't be falsified, right? You can't falsify that something doesn't exist.
Oh yeah.
Right. Does that make sense?
Don't ever say that.
They have like Schrodinger scan.
Right. Well, okay. So kind of going back. Well, yeah, and that's a whole different thing. But even with theoretical physics, you could falsify using mathematics. Maybe you could. There's still tests that you can do that could present themselves in the real world or not.
Yeah.
Right. And so with English, the problem is that oftentimes they create their thesis statement up front. They pick the lens they're going to use up front. They're like, I'm going to use a new historical lens, or I'm going to use a formalist lens, or I'm going to use I'm going to look at this from a Marxist lens,
now we're
or
talking
a
about
post-colonial lens.
You're talking about an undergraduate student doing this, or
well, graduate students and our English 1Bs kind of do this too.
Because what happened is they teach you that at the foundation level.
Yeah, even in English 1B, you do a little bit of this,
and then now you gradually go up to your masters and like that. But your foundation is like that.
If your foundation is not based in rational in using central tenets of rationality, you're going to become an ideologue.
Yeah, so that's what happened to most of the journalists.
I do think so. And I will say, like, a lot of the things like steel manning, I didn't learn those sorts of ideas. And Bayes rule, I didn't learn about Bayes rule.
You never explained it.
You
kept saying it without mentioning what it is.
Bayes rule is where you update your confidence level for something incrementally based on new information, and you also try to take into consideration prior likelihoods, like base rate. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example in a bit, but Bayes rule, which I think is like the most important.
As in base?
No, as in I think it's BAYES and then apostrophe. Bayes rule.
Sure, you don't mean bias?
No, Bayes.
Okay.
Bayes. It's like the most important statistical formula you could learn. And so basically what you do is you update as you get new information. And you try to take into consideration prior base rates, right? And so if you say, what is the likelihood that you will die skydiving? Right? Well, you don't skydive very often. So even if the likelihood's higher than just taking a walk to the park,
you don't do it anyway.
But if you take a lot of walks to the park, you're more likely to die on the walk to the park.
Yeah.
Because you take a lot of them.
Driving car, driving car, right?
Right. You're more likely to get an accident.
Get an accident. But if you don't drive at all,
right, but you're close to your house a lot. Oh, but more people have furniture accidents or accidents that lead to death in their house. That doesn't mean you should stay away from your house because your house is dangerous. It just means you're in your house a lot.
No, it reminds me of that joke.
There's another one.
I think we two said this in the last episode. It's good. Maybe Angelo hasn't heard it.
Yeah,
but isn't it ironic if you died in the living room?
No, because you're in your living room a lot. Your living room is where your dad lives, right?
Living room. My uncle.
I got it.
Or like, what was it? It's like the number one cause of death is being alive. Something like that. Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Did you know 99% of murderers and rapists drink water? Therefore, you should not drink water.
Yeah, there's another like a correlation.
Let me use a real example. My friend, they might know who they are, and if they listen to this, thank you for listening to the podcast. My friend got back some really devastating news from the doctor that they still are. They're expecting a child, and early.
Oh, that's good news. I thought this was like they were infected with something.
Well, no. Here's how it goes. Okay. And so they got some news that from a test that they claimed had 90% accuracy. Now, a test that's 90% accurate means that if the disease or the trait is there, it will predict it with 90% accuracy. If it's there. If it's there.
But what does this got to do with the pregnancy? Like,
Okay, so they said that the child might have, I think it was Down syndrome. And so the problem is that somebody might get that news and think there's a 90% chance my child has Down syndrome. And they might use that information to terminate the pregnancy.
Oh, yeah.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
And we walk through it, and the base rate, the rate at which Down syndrome exists, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but it ended up being something really low, something lower than, I think it was like 5 or 6%.
So why was it 90%? Why was that?
Because it's only going to be accurate if it's there, but it's not likely to be there because most people don't have Down syndrome.
Yeah. So, like, if they found out that
So why that misleading information, then?
Because people don't understand Bayes' rule.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. If you don't know Bayes' rule, you got to look it up. You got to practice it. You don't need to necessarily learn how to do the math. You just need to say, okay, is this common to begin with?
All right.
And don't freak out when you hear something. It's like update your positions incrementally as you get new information.
Maybe, that could be a whole nother podcast in itself.
Yeah, we could do
just because I think we might have lost the audience by that.
Oh, maybe. But that is a
terminology.
Oh, maybe. But that is a really interesting thing that happens all the time where I think we hear something and we freak out, right? Like with the coronavirus.
Oh, yeah.
People were freaking out.
Scare tactics, yeah.
But
I was laughing the whole time.
You were laughing? Yeah, because it's not going to... Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of other worse diseases that exist in the world.
Pandemic, epidemic.
Yeah, the flu.
Yeah.
The flu hits us every year.
Yeah. And we actually have a vaccine for that.
But
Nobody
you know
takes
what?
it.
It's because using a name we're not familiar with, coronavirus.
I think they changed the name already, right?
Yeah, I think they changed the name because of the Corona beer company is losing a lot of sales.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
they paid them to change the name. They're like, please change the name.
I don't know who named it coronavirus, but you guys ain't going to use our name.
Hey, it's patented. You can't use Corona.
Yeah. I remember in Marina Valley Matters, it was here at our Walmart. It was two guys dressed in hazmat suits with a case of Corona beer.
Oh, gosh.
It's like, yep,
that's
coronavirus.
So just stay off the grid.
Oh, okay.
Well, we definitely, liked you having being here. I wish you were here again with us.
Yeah, let's do this some more.
This was fun. I think this is like one of our best episodes.
I agree, man. It's fun having you here. I'll cut some, maybe.
Yeah, we'll definitely, do some other ones if you like.
Yeah,
definitely. We could find something else to talk about.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you guys for listening. And anything you want to take us out, Jason?
We don't have an outro. We need to work on an outro.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah.